Hi everyone, welcome to the 12th Standard English class. I'm Jasmine and this is the 24th module. In this module, we will be discussing the final segment of our story, The Low Spring, which is written by Anise Young, taken from the book Flamingo. It's been a while since we have met, and I hope you all are doing well with your studies and other leisure time activities. Meanwhile, I hope you haven't forgotten our dear friend Mukesh, who is telling us his story. Now let's continue listening to him. But before that, let's have a quick recap of the story. Mukesh, who belonged to a family of bangle makers in Firozabad, had a dream of becoming a car mechanic. On the contrary, his family was traditionally engaged in bangle making, although the profession harmed them physically and they hardly earned any money out of it. When we last winded up the story, we saw how Mukesh was taking the author his home. And as they walk down the lane, the author notices crumbling walls and wobbly doors and families of humans and animals coexisting in a primeval state. As they too reach their destination, more characters are introduced. And I hope you remember who are they. That is Mukesh's elder brother's wife, a young girl who is not much older than Mukesh, and his father, an impoverished bangle maker, has failed in renovating his house despite of all the long years of hard labor. We also met Mukesh's grandmother, who has watched her own husband go blind with the dust from polishing the glass of bangles. But she is one who believes that they have been chosen by God to make bangles and should not leave it at any cost. Now let's continue reading the story. In this paragraph, we can see how the author is describing the street of Firozabad. She further tells that they were born in a particular caste which had to follow the profession of bangle making, and all their life they had just seen these glass bangles. They were everywhere, in the backyard, in the next house, in their yard, and even in the streets of the town. There were huge spiral bunches of bangles in different colors like gold, green, blue, pink, and purple. There were bangles of all the colors of the rainbow. Further, the writer says that there were bangles in the neglected yards also. They were dumped on handcarts for sale. They were pushed by men along the streets of Firozabad. Here you can see a wide contrast between the bangles, which is so beautiful, and the life of the bangle makers, which is really pathetic. Further, the writer describes the environment where these bangle makers work. They were small, dark huts. The children would sit next to a line of oil lamps where flames are really unsteady. They, along with their parents, joined the pieces of colored glass into circles called bangles. As they spent most of their time in the dark, their eyes are more adapted to darkness rather than daylight. And due to this, many of them lose their eyesight before gaining adulthood. As you read further in the next paragraph, the author introduces another character called Savita. She wore a faded pink colored dress. She was sitting with an elderly woman and they were joining pieces of glass to make bangles. Her hands moved like a machine, just like the tongues of a machine. The writer wondered if Savita knew that bangles were sacred. They were a good omen for a woman's wifehood. The author further thinks that Savita would realize this when she would become a bride. That day, she would cover her head with a red colored veil, color her hands with henna, and wear red colored bangles on her wrist. The elderly woman sitting next to Savita also became a bride many years ago. She was still wearing the glass bangles but had lost her eyesight now. Here, the author is actually trying to bring a contrast between their belief and reality. Though the glass bangles are believed to be a good omen for the wifehood of a woman, in reality, their life is not so prosperous. Now, let's wind up here and let's see what happens further in the story in the next module. Thank you.